In the heart of Middle-earth, where the shadows of ancient evils lingered, Gandalf the Grey stood as a beacon of wisdom and power. As one of the Astari, sent by the Vala to guide the free peoples against the rising darkness of Sauron, Gandalf was no stranger to fear. He had faced the Nazgul, confronted the treacherous Saruman, and stood resolute against the might of Mordor. Yet, in the depths of Moria, when the Fellowship of the Ring encountered the Balrog known as Durrance-Bane, a primal dread seized Gandalf, a fear that surpassed even his apprehension of Sauron, the Dark Lord himself. Why would a Maya, a being of divine origin, tremble before this fiery demon more than the architect of Middle-earth's greatest threat? The answer lies in the ancient origins, raw power, and existential peril that the Balrog represented. To understand Gandalf's fear, one must first grasp the nature of the Balrog. Balrogs were not mere creatures of Middle-earth but spirits of the same divine order as Gandalf and Sauron. In the beginning, when Iluvatar created the Aenir, some were swayed by Melkor, the mightiest of the Vala, who rebelled against the divine harmony. These corrupted Maiar became the Balrogs, cloaked in fire and shadow, wielding terror as their weapon. Unlike Sauron, who was a strategist and manipulator, the Balrog was a force of raw, chaotic destruction. Its power was not diluted by the need to command armies or weave intricate schemes. It was a direct, visceral threat. In the mines of Moria, Durrance-Bane had slumbered for millennia, awakened only by the greed of the dwarves who delved too deep. Its presence was a reminder of an older, more primal evil, one that predated Sauron's rise. Gandalf, as Olorin in the Undying Lands, had witnessed the Balrog's terror during the Wars of Beleriand. He knew their strength, their unrelenting malice, and their capacity to destroy even the mightiest of foes. While Sauron's threat was distant and strategic, the Balrog was immediate, its fiery whip and sword a direct challenge to Gandalf's mortal form. As a Maya bound to a physical body, Gandalf was not invincible. The Astari were sent to Middle-earth in the guise of old men, their powers limited to guide and inspire rather than dominate. This incarnation made Gandalf vulnerable, a fact he acknowledged when facing the Balrog. Sauron, though immensely powerful, was a distant threat whose physical form was diminished after the fall of Numenor. His influence was spread across armies, rings, and fortresses, making him a calculable foe. The Balrog, however, was a concentrated force of destruction, capable of killing Gandalf's physical form in a single confrontation. In Moria, as the Fellowship fled from goblins, Gandalf sensed the Balrog's awakening. His words, "This foe is beyond any of you," were not merely a warning to the Fellowship but an admission of his own peril. The Balrog's power rivaled his own, and in a direct contest, there was no guarantee of victory. Gandalf's fear stemmed from the knowledge that this battle could end his mission, leaving Middle-earth without one of its greatest defenders. Gandalf's fear was also rooted in history. In the First Age, Balrogs were the harbingers of Melkor's wrath. They fought in battles that shook the foundations of the world, slaying heroes like Fëanor and Fingon. Even Glorfindel, a mighty elf lord, perished in combat with a Balrog, though he took the demon with him. These were not distant legends to Gandalf. They were memories of his time as Olorin, when he dwelled in Valinor and learned of the devastation wrought by Melkor's lieutenants. Sauron, though formidable, was a known quantity. Gandalf had studied his rise, from his days as Melkor's servant to his forging of the One Ring. He knew Sauron's weaknesses, his dependence on the ring, his fear of unity among the free peoples, and his inability to act directly, without a physical form. The Balrog, however, was unpredictable. Its isolation in Moria had preserved its strength, undiminished by the ages. To Gandalf, it was a relic of a time when the world was nearly broken by such creatures, a reminder of the raw power that could undo all his efforts. Beyond the physical danger, the Balrog posed a spiritual threat. As Maiar, both Gandalf and the Balrog were beings of the same essence, but their paths had diverged. The Balrog had embraced corruption, becoming a creature of fire and shadow, while Gandalf remained true to Iluvatar's will. This confrontation was not just a battle of strength, but a clash of destinies. If Gandalf fell, it would not only be a loss for the Fellowship, but a triumph for the forces of corruption that the Balrog represented. Sauron's evil was methodical, seeking to dominate and control. The Balrog's was anarchic, seeking only to destroy. In a sense, the Balrog was a pure form of evil, unburdened by ambition or cunning. This made it more dangerous in the moment, as it had no reason to hold back. Gandalf knew that facing the Balrog meant risking not just his body but his spirit, potentially weakening the divine purpose he was sent to fulfill. When Gandalf confronted Durrance Bane on the bridge of Khazad-dûm, his fear was palpable. "You cannot pass," he declared, not out of confidence but necessity. The Fellowship's survival depended on his stand, yet he knew the cost could be his own life. The Balrog's flames roared, its shadow spreading like a storm. As a Maya, Gandalf could wield power beyond mortal comprehension, but so could his foe. The battle that followed was not just a clash of weapons, but of wills, a struggle between light and darkness. Their fight, from the bridge to the depths of Moria and up to the peak of Xaraxajal, was a testament to their equality in power. For days, they battled, each strike a test of endurance and resolve. Gandalf's fear was not cowardice, but a recognition of the stakes. Every moment he fought, he was one misstep away from defeat, one flame away from oblivion. Yet his courage overcame his fear, driven by his duty to protect the Fellowship and Middle-earth. When Gandalf finally slew the Balrog, it was at a great cost. His physical form perished, and his spirit was sent back to the Vala. This was the ultimate risk he faced in Moria, a risk he did not face with Sauron. In the end, Gandalf feared the Balrog more than Sauron because it represented an immediate, existential threat. Sauron's evil was a slow-burning fire, one that could be countered with strategy and unity. The Balrog was a wildfire, uncontrollable and all-consuming. Its power matched Gandalf's own, its history evoked ancient terrors, and its presence threatened the very core of his mission. In Moria, Gandalf faced not just a monster, but a mirror of what he could have become, a Maya turned to darkness. The Balrog was a reminder that evil was not always cunning or calculated. Sometimes, it was simply destruction incarnate. And for Gandalf, who carried the hopes of Middle-earth on his shoulders, that was a fear greater than any Dark Lord could inspire.